Hi, my name is Brooke Lippman.
And I'm Dr. Deb Lippman.
And this is Wine Together,
A podcast where we drink some wine and have a chat.
So sit back, relax, and get that corkscrew ready. There you go.
Okay.
Cheers.
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 Okay, we are back. So, okay.
You ready now?
I think we're ready. Okay, we could do cheers again.
Cheers again.
Cheers.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
But this is good, a good bubbly. I don't know, I mean, you know.
Kind of tastes like maple syrup to me.
It is sweet.
Yes.
I think it's a little sweet, but I think it was supposed to have an orange hint to it, but I didn't pick up on the orange.
No.
Did you get an orange?
No, it still tastes like maple syrup.
I think you've had too many cookies.
No, I haven't had that. Really honestly haven't had. I had half a cookie earlier, and that was it. No,
Okay.
I had chocolate chip cookie.
Well, I will say this. So since we've been, because Thanksgiving's over, and since we've been in Switzerland, Todd always has to work, on Thanksgiving, because even though it's a U.S. company, we don't have the same holidays that they do. So there's not a holiday here, but this year your dad took off, so we kind of had a sort of a Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Lunch?
I had a show, so.
Yeah, you had the show, but still we could do, we could do our little deviled eggs and stuffing. And so, the food was good. We just don't have turkey here because turkey is very expensive.
Yeah, I don't know why.
A whole turkey is like 150 francs for a bird to cook and eat.
They don't
That's
have
insane.
turkeys here, right? Like, there's no wild
I
turkeys.
guess,
Not wild, but farm bred.
I mean, I don't know.
Cause
there are farms, turkey farms.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
not like wild turkeys like in the U.S.
Yeah, no, well,
Like you're not gonna
People
walk down the
don't-
street and
Bro.
see a turkey staring into
No.
your eyes.
No.
No.
that's not gonna happen.
but you don't eat those, Brooke.
But they're evil.
I mean,
But anyway, I'm just saying, it was kind of nice to, sort of, it be a little bit normal, to kind of like, because again, we don't do the big meals like we used to do in the U.S. I'm talking cook all day.
right.
Would cook all day. So I don't know if you know our tradition.
I mean, I've heard of Thanksgiving mostly through like osmosis, right? You always
Yeah.
watch American shows or movies, and there's
Yeah.
always Thanksgiving, and I'm
Yeah.
like, sounds great. I don't really.
Hey, I have a question. Do you remember if My Name is Earl had a Thanksgiving episode?
That's a good question. I'm sure they did, though I can't
don't
remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh,
either.
have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes.
They've had Thanksgiving episodes.
Oh, yes.
But they're at the police station.
There's one
So-
where they go to Amy's house.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I kind of remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
And Terry's starving the whole episode, and then Hitchcock takes off his shirt. And so, why'd you take off your shirt so I don't spill sauce on it?
That's so funny. But yeah, so we've had huge family Thanksgivings. And last year I was in the U.S. So I kind of promised, Todd's family, I said, okay, I'll come do the cooking. And it was the first time, in 6 years. Well, it was at that point, it was 5 years. It was the first time in 5 years I had done that. And so I'd forgotten how hard it is because certain people have certain things they're not going to eat. And, especially when you bring the whole family together. And so, I had to make 2 different dishes of the stuffing, what we call stuffing. And I had to make 2 different stuffings. I had to make 2 different green bean casseroles. The yams had to be separated out. And there were some mashed potatoes and some kind of like whole boiled potatoes. Because again, different strokes for different folks.
No, of course.
And so it was kind of hard, but it was also kind of fun, because I do miss the hectic craziness of it. And when you were little, I don't know how many Thanksgivings you remember, but I remember you know, it was never, ever, ever
Okay.
did my family come together at our house with Todd's family.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever, ever did we have anything where all of them were together. And that's because, you know, I remember nightmarish events when I was a kid with all the families together. So I vowed I would never. Yeah, I mean, Todd's parents haven't met my parents, but just a couple of times, I think.
Hmm.
So, you know, yeah. So, and I'm wondering, I don't think my sisters ever met
Really?
Art and Judy.
Interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think that they have. So, which is, you know, yeah. I can't recall that she has, which is kind of funny, you know, because it's supposed to be a family thing.
Right.
But, you know, my family it always ends in disaster. I remember one Thanksgiving, I thought my brother was going to die on my couch. Because he had a diabetic seizure.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Oh, dear God. And I'll never forget, because they had called the ambulance for the next door neighbor, but the ambulance had to stop in front of our house. Well, my neighbor across the street knew that my brother was there, and that, you know, so, you know, she thought that the ambulance was there for him. I said no after she sends me the text, and I said, no, not here for him. And it was not 10 minutes after that ambulance was gone that he has this seizure. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have to call. But my mom knew what to do. She kind of brought him around, and everything was okay. I was like, y'all got to go home soon after.
It doesn't seem like that.
Sound terrible.
No, you know what I remember is that me and my siblings were not in the house at the time. We were on a walk.
True. Yeah, we're not in the house. Yeah, we're not. But yeah, you did come back kind of right after that.
I remember seeing the ambulance there.
Yeah.
So I guess some Thanksgivings are more calm than others.
It's a little calm, you know. I think it's so funny because Brooke swears that I am this quite like the self-fulfilling prophecy is what she calls it.
Yes.
I dread something, and then the worst happens.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think anytime I was doing something that involved my parents, there was always dread. And I'll never forget one time. You know, I can't believe I'm going to bring this up on here, but it is what it is. One year, I was cooking, and because we would do every other year almost. When we were in the house in Roseville, almost every other year it was Todd's family one year for Thanksgiving, my parents the next year for Thanksgiving. So it was always a trade-off year to year. And one year it was my parents' year, and my parents bring this man to our house that I didn't know. And so it was, I'll tell you when it was. It was 2016.
Okay.
Because my mom walked in the door, and I met her at the door, and I said, do not speak that man's name. Y'all know who I'm talking about?
No.
Trun. I'm not going any further.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
And she said, as long as you don't talk about that, Hillary. And I was like, okay, this is not going to go well. I said, don't, I don't want to hear it. And then this man walks in with them that I didn't know who he was. Well, you know, by that point, it was always, anytime we were traveling to my parents' house, it was always a 2-flask trip. Always. I had to have one for each hand, and I'm not lying. And so one would get finished before I even got there.
Right.
And then I had one to kind of keep me dosed while I was there. Just kind of keep me on the level. And so I didn't know a stranger was coming to my house for Thanksgiving. You know, the turkey's already in the oven. I'm prepping all this other stuff, and here comes the stranger. And I thought, okay, now I couldn't be myself. you know.
Right.
And by the, I usually have my Christmas music going, and because I'll start listening to Christmas music before Thanksgiving. I just would not decorate my house until after,
Of course.
so like that night, and then I can. I have to get the dishes done, and then I can start decorating. So this stranger's in the house, and I thought, okay, I can't do my Christmas music because I usually just sing along to it. But I kept sneaking shots, because I can't drink in front of my parents. They were
Was this
teetotalers
at
our Roseville house.
Okay.
And so I'm sneaking a shot every once in a while. I'm pretending to go out to the garage. Got to go out to the garage. I just get my bottle out there, and at one point I get to where I'm like, I don't care what these people think. Right? And so I start playing Carrie Underwood and singing it to the top of my lungs.
Okay.
Well, this weirdo evidently liked it.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I didn't find that out till much later. Yeah. He's telling everybody about, how entertaining it is to go to our house because, I sing Carrie. His name's Randy something. I don't know his last name.
Okay.
But I feel pretty confident his
don't
first name
remember
was Randy.
this at
I was so uncomfortable because I mean honestly, I didn't know who had he been in prison before. I mean I don't know. I always think crazy, like over the top things in my head. Has he been in prison? Did he hurt little girls? I mean I just was so fearful.
Right.
Because I had no idea. But I do always tend to, when I start to worry about something like that, my thoughts always go to the extreme.
Right.
Which is ridiculous of me. It's always like that, though.
I mean, but that's the bottom line, right? Is even if he was just a normal dude, he was still a stranger. Like,
Yes.
who showed up uninvited. It's like.
So, what kind of big family celebrations? What brings a family? What kind of celebrations bring families together in Portugal? Like, when does everybody get together for food?
Christmas.
So tell me I want to know the spread. What do you cook? Because I love the food ideas. I love to hear about the food.
Oh, sure. Oh, well, Portuguese stereotype, right? Every Portuguese person only eats codfish. And on Christmas, it's codfish. 100%. The stereotype is real. But it also depends on which region you're from. Because, like, I'm from the center. And in the center, it's codfish. In the north, it's more octopus.
Okay.
Yeah, which is something weird they do. People from the north, I don't know. And in the south, it's more like lamb.
Based
on these lines.
Do the red meat.
Yeah, I guess.
Make you feel rich, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, that's basically codfish. Just you like boil it.
Okay, I was gonna ask, how do we prepare this?
Exactly.
I love fish.
So,
I love cod.
So this is the like salt dried cod.
Okay.
You buy it, the saltiest thing in the world.
Okay.
You put it in water for 2 days before.
Oh, okay.
Because you gotta get that salt out.
Pull it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Change the water, whatever. And then you boil it with potatoes, boil it with eggs, boil it with cabbage, and then you serve it.
Okay.
You serve it. One thing that because my grandmother usually does the cooking, and she and my mom like something that I'm good, which is the cod tongues.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They really like it. The cod tongues. They always eat it, and I'm like, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly it.
That's funny because our turkey that we cook on Thanksgiving, we put it in a brine that's usually salt and water to kind of add some salt and flavor. Okay. You pull the salt out with your cod.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Oh, did you know that Benjamin Franklin wanted the national bird of the U.S. to be the turkey?
Well, considering what I've seen in Franklin, Massachusetts,
Have you
not
seen
surprised.
The turkeys just walking around?
When we lived in Massachusetts, every year there was a turkey parade. They would just show up and take over the whole street, and they really would strut.
They do
to show themselves off
because they're evil.
And
no. Okay, so the one time I was like really sick, and I was on campus. It was like a March. And I went up to Walgreens so I could get some cold medicine because I was not going to miss classes just because I had a little cold, right? So I walked up to Walgreens.
Oh.
On my way back, a turkey crosses the street, right? And it like looks at me with this look in its eyes, right? And so I stop in my tracks. I'm like, okay, I'm not moving because I don't want it to see me. And then as soon as it gets across the street, another turkey,
like
another turkey crosses the street, and it gave me the same look. And at first, I thought I was hallucinating
because you were sick.
Because I was sick.
Exactly.
How sick were you?
Right? Not sick. I was able to go to class. I was able to sing.
I will say that my experience with turkeys out in the street has always only been Massachusetts.
Oh, there's a lot of them there. Yeah.
And it is the most bizarre thing. And now yours was March, but this always happened in November to me.
Yeah. Well, they
what I
plan
remember.
a turkey march in November. Like, that's a thing. It's also a thing in New Hampshire because someone that I went to school with who was from New Hampshire, she said there's a lot of turkeys there as well.
Yeah. That it's funny. It's just kind of a thing. I never got close enough. I always would just kind of see them coming down the street, and I knew to stay in the house at that point.
Yeah.
So
they're mean.
It's hilarious. Well, you know, some people say the swans here are mean, and I do not have that experience. Have you had a swan snap at you in solitaire?
Not at all, but I do usually avoid.
Okay, don't take a chance. You don't take a chance.
No.
I mean, because like swans and geese are related, right?
I have no
And
idea.
geese are
I know
also
I'm biologist, so
evil.
I'm supposed to know this.
I have had geese almost bite me and hiss at me just for wearing yellow leggings.
Well, you know. You know how geese are with fashion. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It was on a walk. It was fine. They're so mean. They wouldn't let me cross the bridge. Like, they got close to me. I almost got bit.
Perhaps they were the toll takers. The troll put them in charge of seeing who gets to go across and who does not. Because, you know, the trolls they're not potty trained according to the movie Elf.
It was
so the troll can't be seen out in public all the time. So he has to put somebody else in charge.
It was in the park right behind Jana's house.
That is such a nice park.
It is really nice, but I couldn't go into the park because of the geese.
Okay, that is a really nice park, I will say. And I didn't realize it was so close. Like, I think she must have lived there. Well, you know, I did not know about that park until I moved here and then went back to the U.S. Mm-hmm. And then we went for a walk in the park, and I was like, I had no idea this park was right here, so close. Beautiful park. Wonderful area to walk. I mean, you know, it's really nice. So, and Corey and Katie are in D.C., so, but they're not too far from Howard University, so it's not a horrible. It's a nice kind of area to, you know, you don't walk too much around there, but still. I mean, I walked from the subway to their house. They got a little row house on.
Yeah, their place is really cute.
It is adorable.
I've stayed at everyone's place there in DC
now. They have such a cute little place, and they really, Nolan has taken over.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, he's, he must be 18 months old now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's now his place. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of how it goes with kids. They get to a certain age and nothing belongs to the grown-ups anymore. The space just, you know, they just take all available space.
Yeah.
So, I remember those days.
Cats
it's kind of nice. I do kind of have some space here, but, you know, we might be having a guest stay a little bit this summer, so I'll lose this space again. But, you know, it's okay. We'll make it work. You know, so. It's kind of nice.
Cats do it too, like they take over. We should get a cat.
You know, I didn't have that experience with the cats that we had.
I didn't know. I thought Schubert kind of...
Okay, well, I guess you're right about that. But it didn't bother me that Schubert did that. I guess that's what it is.
Not like in a bothersome way. It's
right.
Just like,
so we bought a house. We bought a house. It was the last place we lived at in the U.S. And we closed on it in 2011. We left there in 2019. So we were in the house 8 years. But we closed on the house and we couldn't move into it. We weren't allowed to move into it because when our house was on the market, someone left the back door open when they went in to view the house before we bought it, and they accidentally, well, the person that was looking at the house, the potential buyer, left the sliding doors open and went back and stole the refrigerator.
Damn.
What?
Yes. And so we didn't have a refrigerator in it. So when we were looking at the house, we were thinking about it, they were like, no, we're definitely going to get you a refrigerator. You know, and all the appliances in there were black. And we thought, you know, I was trying to negotiate a deal to swap out all the appliances, but they weren't willing to do that because the dishwasher would just be too hard to swap out, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they did get us a nice refrigerator to put in there, but we weren't allowed to live in the house without a refrigerator.
Okay.
So it's just some kind of weird rule.
I mean, yeah, if you pay for a house with a refrigerator, you should have a refrigerator.
Well, I mean, it's not that. No, I think there's like some kind of rule you can't live.
Really?
Like in Massachusetts, if you're renovating your kitchen, you can't live in the house at all.
Okay.
You have to move out if the kitchen is getting renovated. Or at least that's what it was back in, 2008 or whatever when we were there. And so, or 4 to 6. We were there 2004 to 2006. So that was kind of the rule. And the only reason I knew that is because a friend of mine was getting her kitchen renovated and she had to move into like a camper in her front yard, and they lived there for about 4 months.
Damn.
Yeah.
4
And
months
so,
renovated kitchen.
yeah.
Schubert lived in the house.
Oh, yeah, anyway, so our cat, Schubert, after we closed on the house, we closed on it in April 2011, and but Todd, was working from home a lot because he was a contractor, so he would get put on projects and he'd have to travel to wherever. But when he was not traveling, he worked from home, and so it was a great opportunity for him to move a few things in the morning to the new house, work from the new house, and then come home like he was coming home from work, kind of thing. And so he moved Schubert in, and Schubert lived there. I mean, it might have been 2 weeks before the refrigerator came in. But by that time, Todd had been moving stuff every day. So, a lot of stuff was moved. We had to make a few trips with a big truck. But, he had taken a lot of stuff. He had already taken his desk, and he kind of took over. There was a home office on the first floor of this house. And so Schubert lived there without us for those 2 weeks. And so he had already established his space. And of course, it was at the very tip top of the stairs. Mm-hmm. And so all of the bedrooms were upstairs for this house. And there was this great loft for the kids to do TV, gaming, and stuff like that. There was kind of an open loft space. And so the top of the stairs, when you get to the top of the stairs, there's the open loft to the right. The master bedroom was straight ahead. Then there's the kids' bathroom here, because the master bedroom had a huge bathroom kind of already in it. So this was the kids' bathroom. And then there was like 1, 2, 3 bedrooms for the kids. And so, Schubert had already taken that top step. And it was his, he would the loft was, like I said, it was open, but there was this banister kind of railing. Well, it was 2 stories up. And this cat was talented. Right. And he could walk that railing and never fall.
Yeah. Cats.
Speaking of falling, you know how you know that you guys were good parents is that none of us fell out of the loft.
There was only one time that I really thought somebody was going to try to swing from the chandelier in the hallway.
Not even that. I mean, none of us pushed each other off.
Yeah, y'all didn't push each other off. No, and y'all found... Okay. Y'all did find a way to kind of make it work because it was a shared space.
Right.
And they didn't like the same things. Like, Brooke really liked her dolls. And that really was about all that she liked. She didn't necessarily like to color.
I like coloring.
Now, but you didn't then.
I did.
Well, you didn't spend not quite as much as the others, I guess. So I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think that you liked coloring that much. I certainly never bought you colored pencils.
Yeah, but I had crayons and markers.
Yeah, that you did have. And so, but it was, they just had this, they just found a way to make that space work. So good job, Y'all really did do good with that.
I never hung out in that space.
I'll never.
That's why it worked.
I'm gonna tell you the one time.
Hang out in the space.
I'll tell you the one time you were in that space, and or you could get mad that I say something about you.
I guess not. No.
You promise?
It depends on what you say. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna say.
Okay, so there was Brooke was in like 5th grade, so real young, and so Brooke didn't really grow up, like didn't get tall,
Oh yeah.
nothing until she was at least like almost at high school age, and
No,
so
I was in high school.
you were in high school. You were still teeny tiny as a freshman in high school, and so she looked like she was in elementary school. So anyway, she was this teeny tiny kid, and it was right. I think it was a weekend, and there was a lot going on, and at that time I was homeschooling her brother and sister. Sorry, and so Brooke says she'd been complaining about her head itching over the weekend, and I didn't think nothing of it. Blah blah blah. And that Sunday night, she said, "Mommy, it itches so bad it hurts." And I knew then what it was, and I thought, "Oh my God, I've got to figure this out." And I had to look in her hair, and you could see the lice crawling
Was this
in her hair.
Was this after I had that sleepover at his house, or was that before?
I don't know. No, because I'm pretty sure it was because. Anyway. I was, I had all these kids in the house. And I immediately go into panic mode. So Todd goes out and gets the shampoo, and we start pulling it through her hair, and, we're spinning, and so the next day I had to go to school to tell the teacher to you're going to have to wash all the pillows that the kids sit on and blah, blah, blah. Because, we didn't know who else was expensive. So I treat every one of the kids. I get enough of that shampoo and enough combs that I'm treating all the kids. Well, Brooke was the only one that we could see anything crawling. Like Ren, her brother was complaining a little bit, but I think all that was just kind of in his head because of what was going on. So
we also shared a room at that point.
Yeah, did share a room at that point. So we had to wash everything, and I had to get on my hands and knees and clean the carpets and clean any of the furniture that was upholstered, had to be cleaned, in a certain way. And I was just so exhausted after that. And I went through that cleaning routine for like 6 months because we couldn't get rid of it. And I thought, we're going to have to cut her hair. Well, she was a dancer at the time.
We dyed my hair, right? Brown. We dyed it the same color.
We did end up.
Yeah,
that was a kind of a last resort. We're going to have to kill it with chemicals, kind of thing. And so, but yeah,
They were super bugs.
Yeah, they were. They were
so
super
weird.
bugs, and we did actually say that they were super.
But I never had MRSA, so
that's true. The others had MRSA that we had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, so that was the thing okay, I love having a big family. And there's a sign out here in the hall that says, Familie ist wann the chaos or the chaos Spaß macht.
Mm-hmm.
So family is when the chaos is fun, or something like that. That is so true. Mm-hmm. For our immediate family. I don't want anybody listening to think I'm saying this about anybody outside of Todd and Deborah's space, because it's not. It is. Our immediate family is chaotic. Mm-hmm. And when they were teenagers, it was really chaotic.
Right.
And so, but this was just before her teen years. But I'll never forget one time. That was 5th grade, but then 6th grade, she was. She had been in the Nutcracker in November, December. She had been in a traveling dance company, professional dance company. Then she traveled in different spaces around North Carolina to be in the Nutcracker. And so, she missed a little bit of, school. Like we'd get her out early or whatever sometimes, but just to get to rehearsals and stuff. And then so I thought, well, after Christmas it'll all be over. Don't worry about it. Well, then wouldn't you know it, Todd's brother has tickets to this big basketball tournament, the March Madness. I don't know if you've heard of March Madness.
I've heard of it, like a college football thing.
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Football, yes.
Okay. So Todd's brother gets tickets because his brother knows who my favorite team is. And his college was playing my favorite team, and so he got us tickets. Well, wouldn't you know it, that was the day. And I didn't, I had plans to go to this game with them. Mm-hmm. And then at the last minute, I was scheduled to take a class.
Right.
And it was the only time I could take this class to become a substitute teacher in Wake County. And I was so mad. And so we thought, well, who else pulls for that team? So I get in touch with her math teacher because, she was going to have to leave during that class. And I actually went to college with him. And so I get in touch with him, and he said, she's going to do what? And he said, no, she can just teach a class and I'll go with them. But yeah, he was mad at me for a long time after that. I think for about 3 years he was, kind of giving me a hard time about that. And so anyway, I ended up getting the substitute teaching job, and so I did sub there a lot because this is where they were in school, and plus I could walk there from my house, so it was very convenient to work at that particular school.
It was nice going to that school because there were times I forgot my backpack and I had to walk home and get
it.
It
really was. The campus was just across a little creek on a bridge, and then it just butts into our neighborhood. And we were kind of close to the bridge, not right at the bridge, but it was a quarter mile at the most. So let's see. Maybe 150 meters.
Oh, yeah, that's right there.
Yeah. So it was fantastic. Yeah. It was, yeah.
I mean, when I was in middle school, it felt like forever. Like, it felt so far away, but
Yeah.
No. Now it'd be like 2 seconds.
It's funny because last year when I was in the U.S., your dad was having to do RTP for a few weeks. He was there for 3 weekends. And one weekend, we went back to the neighborhood. And we just kind of parked over at the school and walked from the school into the neighborhood and walked around the neighborhood. We did, because, the neighborhood was such a nice, it was a good loop, because I think it's about a half-mile loop, so around it, you go around it twice and you get your little mile walk in. And we were walking around and everybody was like, hey, and I was like, I don't even know these people, but they thought they just thought we lived there.
Right.
Because we used to. But it was funny because the one person I wanted to see didn't come out. And so, I wanted to see.
Who was it?
I knew you were going to answer me that. Eugene? What is his name? Okay. So it was our house, then, Shelby and Chad.
The new people that were trumpers?
No.
Oh.
No, this was when there was a field between our house.
Oh. Okay.
So it was like our house, the field, but the new people eventually built a house there. Then Shelby and Chad, and then right between right past the forest was Gwen. Her name was Gwen. I think it was Eugene and Gwen.
I don't know.
Anyway, he was also a veteran, and so he and Todd, they were older than us. I would say by about 10 years. So we really did look up to them, as, we just had a lot of respect for them. And that's what I was hoping to see when we went back, but we didn't. But it was so funny because we were there, like I said, it was October, and so all the houses were decorated for Halloween, and that was something I refused to do. Mm-hmm. I never decorated for Halloween because I really went all out for Christmas.
Right.
And so inside and out I decorated. And so, it's coming out.
Yes.
So got to get it all decked out. So we've started, but we'll finish up. Then I want to have people over. But, Brooke has learned to make cookies this year.
Yeah, I know.
Brooke can bake cookies now. How about that?
Great.
Do you remember the secrets?
Well, there's secrets.
Okay. Oh, there's secrets. Yes. have all your dry ingredients ready ahead of time.
Well, if they're secret, you shouldn't tell people if they're secrets.
You're right. So anyway, okay,
That's not
that's
a
all I'm
secret
gonna
anymore,
say.
you
That
say.
part's no longer a secret, but there are other secrets. And Brooke has done a really good job of picking up on it. I unfortunately don't have. Oh my god. There were so many ingredients that didn't stay where they were supposed to. Brooke's first time.
Have you ever seen me bake anything? Like, this is why I prefer cooking. It's easier to get it into the skillet or the pan or whatever.
I had given up. Our kitchen is so tiny here, and I'd given up. There was no point in me bringing appliances here because of the plugs.
Of course.
And so I didn't bring any of my small appliances here. And so I missed, when we first got here, I really missed my food chopper, my food processor. I missed that tremendously, but I've gotten used to that because now I'm just so accustomed to knowing I have to prep so much ahead of time that I add that 30 minutes of chopping veggies or whatever into my head of time, what time I need to be prepared for cooking whatever. So that, I've kind of gotten used to. I've gotten used to working in the kitchen without a food processor, which was hard for me at first. But one thing I loved was my stand mixer. And I'd finally gotten myself a KitchenAid stand mixer. And I think we moved away about a year later. And I couldn't bring it with me. So my daughter has it. And she bakes a lot. So that's, okay. But I was saying to Brooke, I've been wondering, do I invest in a stand mixer here? I just don't know if I should, because I don't have any place to store it.
Right.
I mean, I just don't have any storage space. And so I still just I haven't decided if I'm going to do that. I want one because it would make my life so much easier during this time of the year because I do love to bake. Mm-hmm. And it would make my life easier, but right now, I can't justify it. So, don't know that I can justify that cost. But anyway, what's your favorite thing that your grandma would bake for you at Christmas?
Okay, so there's this thing, I don't even know how to translate a name.
Oh, okay.
But it's basically, so she makes this dough with pumpkin, and it's just a liquid. And then you take it and you put it in hot oil until it forms like balls of fried dough.
Oh, and they taste like pumpkin?
Yeah, it's delicious. So good.
Is there cinnamon and sugar also involved in this?
Yes, after you take them out, then you put a brown sugar, always brown sugar. Brown sugar and cinnamon, and it's just, it's great. These are.
I so want to go to Portugal for this.
She does this every Christmas. It's tradition. It's tradition. She only does it on Christmas. Every Christmas.
Yeah?
That's the best.
Oh, I love it.
She's
I
going
love
to
to
tell
hear
you to
this.
bring her some, right?
I could try, but not only do they not travel well, after like 3 days, they're not as good. But you always eat them immediately, so.
Well, that's okay. I'm just gonna have to.
Her next question is, you have to bake them for her.
Well, that I cannot do. you know how you're talking about secrets? Yeah, I don't know any.
I understand that, and you know what? And I respect that.
Yeah, no, I don't know any.
Maybe one day I'll get lucky and get to try that because that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. It's really delicious. My goodness. This is probably this is the thing that my grandmother does. But yeah, there's always a bunch of sweets. There's this cake, like it's a traditional cake. Nobody that's younger than my parents likes it. Like nobody. It's real bad. Like I don't like it, but it's a traditional cake. We call it a king cake. Literally. Okay. It's literally it's called king cake, and it's just normal dough. The dough barely has any flavor, and you put a lot of dried nuts on it.
We had that here in Switzerland, right? But they put like the little baby Jesus thing in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We used to do that, but then somebody choked, and we're like, God damn it, can't have anything.
I know, right?
Ridiculous. And the thing that I don't like personally, well, two things. First thing is it's like the fruit that you dip it in sugar, and you just put it on the cake. But most of it is the peels. It's like orange peel, dipped in sugar, put it on cake. I'm like, I don't want to eat peels.
Yeah, I don't want to eat the peels.
What are we doing? And second is raisins. Like, I can't... Raisins... I'm sorry, it's just old grapes.
It is
I
old
love
grapes.
raisins.
Yeah.
I don't like dates though. So.
Which
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Dates are
now,
gross.
and I agree with you. There is a certain age where you get to, and you're like, "Oh my God, why didn't I like this when I was younger?" But I like that cake.
That's impressive because I don't.
We call it a fruit cake in the southern United States.
Okay.
I don't know about anywhere else, but I do know in North Carolina, there's there's a certain store in this little town that every year my mom would drive there with one of my other aunts, one of my dad's sisters, and they would go to this store to get her the southern fruitcake.
Mhm.
And I did not like it. There was just way too much dried fruit in it. But here, when we moved here, our first year we were introduced to the Stollen.
Mhm.
And to me, the Stollen is a lot like that, except this Stollen is a lighter. It's not as dense as that fruitcake. The fruitcake there, to me, it just had a texture that was just too dense, as if the batter never cooked or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was still hard.
Yes.
So it had to have been cooked somehow. But anyway, it's just way too dense, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like the fruits. But here, the Stollen is a light, fluffy cake, and it's covered in powdered sugar. So of course I love it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't like the Stollen though.
I do.
It's gross.
And there's also one of the Stollens has marzipan in it.
Oh.
And Todd
like marzipan.
loves marzipan.
Oh.
And so the other day I did get a Stollen, and Todd and I cut it up. And I go for the end pieces because it has all that powdered sugar in it. And also, the marzipan's not quite done at the end. And he gets the middle, and it just had this big hunk of marzipan. I was like, he's going to love that. And yeah, he did.
Good.
Yeah. So, okay, so y'all have a
Yep.
cake thing too.
Yeah, exactly. It's
That the young people don't like.
no, nobody. It's because again, it is very dry, very hard.
Yeah.
And then there's also another version. So this is the king cake, we call it.
Yeah.
There's also the queen cake, which is the same thing but without the fruit peels.
Yeah.
But it still has raisins.
Yeah.
Like, get the raisins out of there. What are we doing with these raisins? I don't know. Not for me. Not for me.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's I will say, even when I was younger, I loved to hear people's stories about traditions. And when I was teaching, this time of year, I always wanted kids to write about traditions stuff. But you have to be so careful because you got to know your audience, and I've worked with some kids that don't have positive family experiences.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I couldn't say, just write about. So I would just, like last year, I wanted them to write, some of their favorite recipes.
I was trying not to sneeze. So.
Write some of their favorite recipes. And if they wanted to tell a story about it, then they could tell a story about it. And, and some of them, they would kind of, they didn't mind sharing with that. But I think that it's something about, when we're together with people and we're trying foods and, eating and drinking, I just feel like that's always such a good celebration to me.
Yeah, of course.
So I love hearing, what your grandma cooked and
every year you can't miss it. And again, like you were saying, you're telling your stories about this big family that you guys have and the chaos. Like, honestly, couldn't be me. Like, my family, when we get together for big events, aka Christmas, there's like 5-6 of us.
Yeah.
And to me, perfection.
Yeah.
It's like we just go there, we can have a conversation,
Yeah.
we can enjoy the food, and then let's go to the couch, watch a movie, whatever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And I will say, there were times that, when the kids became teenagers, or I will say, when Mason and Amelia became teenagers, they would kind of invite friends over, and we had to figure out how to feed everybody.
Even more people.
And so that was, but I never minded it. He would drive Todd crazy sometimes because he'd be like, 4 pizzas.
4 pizzas. It's a lot of pizza.
We're just going to get one. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I think that I loved that. One of my favorite memories, and I've probably said this before, and if I have, I apologize, but right before we left, we already knew we were moving, and it was, I think March, early March, and we were planning on, okay, so there was this kid that stayed with us every weekend, and because she liked going to church with us on Sunday and doing stuff with the youth group. And there's a whole backstory, but and so there was a weekend that the kids were doing the poetry slam, and all of a sudden, I don't know. I think Todd may have known about this, and anyway, whatever. Mason and Amelia come home from college and surprised me, and I didn't know, but they were coming home. Well, it wasn't just them. So a friend came that went to school with them. Amelia's best friend from Taekwondo in the town that we grew up shows up. And so I thought, well, what's the easiest thing for me to cook is enchiladas. And so I get to the kitchen and I start cooking, and Todd puts an extra leaf in the table, and we've got 10 chairs
Was that
around
the
this
only one
table.
without a friend?
Yeah. And so, which I probably told you could have asked Sarah, but you didn't want to ask Sarah. Well, if Sarah was down the road, you could have invited her.
Yeah.
And so, so we get there and we're eating, and I look around, and I feel it right now as I'm telling the story, and I will always feel it every time I tell the story. They're laughing. Everybody's got this different joke that they've got going on, and I'm sitting there seeing my kids and their friends, and they're eating this food that they absolutely love. And I'll never forget, Amy says, because this is before Amy and Amelia and Ren came out. And all 3 of them are transgender. And so at the time, Amy says, I'm going to take the rest of these enchiladas home with me. And so I just go and find some container for them to put them in. And I think back to that night. So we go on to church, to the poetry slam, because I thought, the whole poetry slam thing was going to change.
But we did the rap from Hamilton together, right?
My goodness, yes. And so then Todd decides he's going to read a poem.
Okay.
And so he reads this poem. It's called The Sick Note. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but you say it with an Irish. You got to hear it. I'm not going to say it. But anyway, it's about Patty, and he, needs to, but Bruce will play it for you later. Anyway, Todd is up there trying to recite this poem, and because he knows the next line, he's laughing, so he can't get the words out.
Okay.
So I had that moment around the table. There's 10 chairs around the table. My heart was so full, and I was happy tears. And then we're at church, and they're making me laugh. It was just so funny. Then we get home, and we go out to the backyard, and Todd builds a fire in the fire pit. Well, I still needed a blanket because it was that cold outside. And so Todd and I are sitting there. Kids are kind of standing around the fire pit, and they decide they're going to go for a walk. And it was late. I mean, really late at night. And I said, y'all are going to have to be quiet because the neighbors are going to know where y'all from, and we're going to be in trouble. They paid no attention to what I said.
Of course.
I could hear them. Okay, so we're up on this end of the neighborhood. Like, we're at the end of the neighborhood. The pond is all the way at the other end of the neighborhood. And there's a gazebo down there the kids can kind of hang out in. You could hear them laughing while they were way down there at the pond from our backyard.
Right.
And so I'm getting text messages from some of the neighbors. Is that your kids? Is that your kids? Yes, but I'm telling them to be quiet. Well, they're not answering text messages. But anyway, it was just so funny. It was just, and here I'm sitting out there The cat's out there wandering around somewhere chasing birds, probably. I've got the dog, right there beside me. Charlie's out there, and Todd's out there. And it was just like, that is my perfect family moment. Because the kids have their friends, and, Todd's built me a fire in the fire pit, and the dog is out there with me, and it was just, perfect.
Right.
So that's my perfection. I don't necessarily need a lot of people around, but when it's my family, it's perfect. When it's my kids and their friends, it's perfect. And I don't need anybody else. I love it.
Fantastic.
So, anyway, I probably took up too much time. And I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't let you talk much at all.
Oh, no. It's okay.
But you'll come back and do it again, right?
Sure, of course. And I love to listen.
Oh, you're so kind. You're just so kind. Well, we're probably going to just kind of cut it off from here. So, we really hope you've enjoyed listening.
We'll be back next week with a new bottle of wine and a new topic. In the meantime, if you want to join the conversation, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Wine Together Pod. Join our Facebook group, Wine Together Podcast. And if you don't want to miss out on our regular weekly episodes, along with all of our bonus content, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as liking, commenting, and subscribing on our YouTube, Wine Together Podcast.